How many seniors could have been helped sooner if someone had just noticed the way they looked at things? It's not just aging, and it's not just poor vision. Because when someone you love starts staring, blinking, or reacting in strange ways, the brain may already be changing. In this video, you'll discover 7 creepy eye movements that often go ignored, but quietly predict cognitive decline. And if you catch these signs early, it could make all the difference. Let's get started. Number 1. Fixating on people who aren't there. 78-year-old Harold began staring into empty rooms. His wife first noticed it one afternoon, when she found him sitting in the living room, gazing at the hallway like he was waiting for someone. At first, she thought he was just deep in thought, but then it escalated. Harold started smiling, nodding, and even whispering to thin air. He once told his daughter, "Don't worry, she already told me," when no one else had spoken. The final moment came when he reached out toward the empty dining room and said, "She's coming. Set a plate." That's when the family called for help. Doctors confirmed Alzheimer's nearly 2 years after the stares began. Experts confirm that early dementia can cause visual misperceptions, where the brain begins interpreting shadows, light patterns, or vague shapes as real people. The eyes are still functioning, but the brain misreads what it sees, blending imagination and reality. When someone begins fixating on invisible figures or reacting to people who aren't there, it's often one of the first signs that cognitive boundaries are starting to collapse. New dementia videos daily. Feel free to subscribe. Number 2. Looking into the mirror like it's someone else. 3 years before her diagnosis with frontotemporal dementia, Glenda, 74, started spending long stretches in front of the mirror. Her husband first noticed it when she stood silently at the bathroom sink for nearly 10 minutes, staring at her reflection without moving. Then it got stranger. She began waving at the mirror, tilting her head, and once even asked, "Are you staying long?" One morning, she was found gently brushing her reflection's cheek, whispering, "You look tired too." When her daughter asked what she was doing, Glenda said, "She's just waiting for me to answer." That was the moment they stopped waiting and scheduled a full evaluation. Neurologists explain that certain types of dementia can cause something called mirror misidentification, when the brain no longer recognizes its own reflection as the self. Instead, it may interpret the image as a stranger, a loved one, or even a threat. This disturbing behavior often signals that the brain's ability to process faces, identity, and spatial awareness is beginning to unravel. Number 3. Blinking in slow motion during conversations. Ron started blinking in an odd, delayed way. His grandson first picked up on it during a dinner conversation. Ron would stare too long, then blink very slowly, like his eyes were struggling to reset. At first, they thought he was just tired, but it kept happening. During group conversations, Ron's face would freeze, his eyes lock still, and then blink as if someone had hit a switch. Sometimes, it took several seconds before he responded at all. One night, he stared at the TV for nearly an hour without blinking once. That's when his son realized something deeper was happening. He was diagnosed with Lewy body dementia at 76, just a year after the strange blinking began. Research shows that certain dementias interfere with the brain's motor coordination and emotional processing systems, including the signals that control blinking. When those pathways break down, blink timing becomes irregular or overly slow, often signaling early cognitive and neurological decline. What looks like spacing out may actually be a breakdown in the brain's most basic reflexes. That means thousands of families lost precious time chasing the wrong answers. And in many of those cases, the earliest clues were there, hidden in everyday behavior. The sooner you recognize the signs, the more you can do to slow it down. Let's keep going. Number 4. Glaring during calm moments. 2 years before her Alzheimer's diagnosis, 72-year-old Darlene started giving people sharp, unsettling glares. Not during arguments, but in completely quiet moments. Her son first noticed it while helping her with groceries. She froze, narrowed her eyes at him, and asked, "What are you trying to do?" He hadn't said a word. At first, they chalked it up to stress, but then it happened at church, at the dinner table, even while watching TV. Darlene would pause, squint hard at someone, and go silent, as if she was trying to catch them in a lie. One night, she glared at her son and whispered, "I know what you're hiding." That was the moment the family stopped dismissing it and sought professional help. Neurologists believe that some forms of dementia disrupt the brain's emotional regulation, making people overly suspicious or confused, especially when they misread facial expressions. In many cases, the eyes react first. A sudden piercing glare may not be anger, it may be the brain trying to defend itself against something that doesn't exist. Number 5. Eyes flickering like dreaming awake. Carolyn, 75, began doing something strange while resting. Her husband would glance over and notice her eyes, darting back and forth beneath her lids like she was in deep sleep. But she wasn't asleep. She was sitting upright, fully awake, sometimes even talking. One afternoon, while knitting in silence, her eyes suddenly twitched rapidly and she whispered, "Did you see that?" There was nothing there. These episodes became more frequent, usually during quiet moments. Eventually, she began having full conversations with people no one else could see. She was later diagnosed with Lewy body dementia, nearly 2 years after the first strange changes appeared. Doctors explained that this kind of eye flickering, similar to limb movement during sleep, may signal brain dysfunction in the areas that regulate wakefulness and visual processing. In Lewy body dementia especially, dream-like activity can leak into waking life. When the eyes begin reacting to things that aren't there, it often means the brain's perception filter is starting to fail. Number 6. Trouble following moving objects. 2 years before his vascular dementia diagnosis, Carl, 82, began having trouble tracking movement with his eyes. His wife first noticed it while passing him a glass of water. His gaze lagged behind her hand, and he almost missed it. Soon, it was happening more often. He'd get distracted trying to watch cars out the window, or lose track of where people were walking during conversations. One day, at a family picnic, he stared blankly as a football flew past his head and said, "Wait, what was that?" That moment finally convinced his family something deeper was going on. Many studies suggest that dementia impair the brain's ability to coordinate eye movement with real-time activity. This delay makes it harder to follow motion, even when the eyes are physically healthy. When someone struggles to track basic gestures or moving objects, it often points to early-stage damage in the brain's visual spatial systems. Number 7. Misjudging distances. 77-year-old Nina began missing objects that were right in front of her. She'd reach for the TV remote and knock over a cup instead. She'd try to hang her purse on the wall hook but come up short by several inches. At first, the family assumed it was just poor eyesight. But one afternoon, she tried to grab the doorknob and hit the wall instead. When asked, she stared at her hand and said, "I thought it was closer." That was the moment her daughter knew it was time to get help. Neurologists later diagnosed her with Alzheimer's, and the family regretted not acting sooner, having delayed it for over 2 years. Studies show that dementia often disrupts the brain's depth perception and hand-eye coordination. Even if the eyes are functioning, the brain may misjudge how far away something really is. When reaching becomes clumsy or consistently inaccurate, especially during simple tasks, it's often an early sign that the brain's spatial awareness is breaking down. If someone you love is showing these eye changes, don't brush it off, because by the time memory loss appears, the brain may already be fading fast. Spot the signs early. It could be your only chance to protect them.
And there you have it. What are your thoughts? Next, dive into this video for more essential tips to transform your health and help you thrive. You're going to love it. Thanks for watching Healthy End, and we'll see you there.